Hello and welcome to Getting Candid with me, your girl Helen. Guys, I am super excited. You know, I've been bragging, I've been showing off that I'm in Zim, and today I'm at Monoli Studios, one of the best producers I'll be chatting with today. But just a reminder, these episodes are brought to you by Laka FM 103.3, the Zimbabwe segment. So you guys, this man I'm chatting with here, he's one of the biggest producers, a guitarist, an author, so much talent. I was reading his profile and I'm like, wow, he's got bachelors in music, certificates, and there's just so much I'm sure we're going to learn from him. He has worked with people like Oliver Mutukudzi. We know Zambians love Oliver Mutukudzi so much. I'm here sitting next to Clive Mono Mukundu. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thanks for having me on your program.
Thank you for inviting me to your studio.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. There's so much
to see.
So much to see.
I like showing off.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah, art is about showing off.
Yeah, you have to, and it doesn't come easy. So
you have to work for it. So after achieving it, you have to show it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at you and I look at the profile, I'm like, you look so young, and your profile says you've been producing since 19.
I'm turning 54 next month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're aging gracefully.
So I'm old.
No, 54 is not old, is it?
It's only young if you die at 54.
Yeah.
So I was so young, it's only 54.
Yeah.
But
when you're living
it's a good ripe age. But anyway, I'm not very Western. And so I'm proud of my age. Mm-hmm. Because I know people who are westernized, they say, don't ask me about my age, blah, blah, blah. But as Africans, we are proud of getting old.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of it. And I make my young brothers jump because I'm older than them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you're saying, for me, one thing I look at, and I always tell people, like, don't worry about your age. You're actually supposed to celebrate it.
You're supposed to be proud
people
of it.
Died early, teenagers,
especially
20s.
In my case, all the guys that I studied music with.
Yeah.
I think if there's anybody who is still alive, it's one or two.
Oh, wow.
All of them, they passed away.
Yeah.
Every one of them. So I was very sure that I'll never reach 40.
Wow.
When I was in my 20s, because I'd seen everybody pass away.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I reach a certain age, I celebrate with that in mind.
You have to, and that's what I tell people.
I'm surprised on Facebook, people say, I've turned a year older. Are you ashamed of your age?
Yeah, you should actually say it.
Yeah.
So let me take it back a little bit. How did your love for music begin?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I remember when I was 5, every time I saw somebody holding a guitar, my heart would beat very fast with excitement.
Really?
Yeah, so I had a dream to play the guitar when I was as young as 5. Oh. By age 9, I made myself a homemade tin guitar. So by age 9, I was already playing a homemade tin guitar. So it has always been my dream. So I'm living my dream right now. Anybody
at home used to play?
No. My father never wanted to see me anywhere near an instrument. So I got corporal punishment every time he saw me holding an instrument.
Yeah.
So it was just inborn.
At what point did he accept, okay?
I remember he called me in October 2001. If I remember the date, it must be Friday the 7th of October 2001. That's when he finally said, you now have my blessings. Because the reason why he didn't want me to play is because a lot of older musicians or earlier musicians, he had set a very bad example of musicians. Because, number one, they never married. They would go around impregnating all the girls, drinking and so forth. So he thought that I would end up like that. Yeah. So it was my duty to prove to him that you can be a musician, be steadily married, or be good at hiding.
Hiding the other things.
The other children. But anyway, I just have 2 kids. I don't have any other.
Yeah.
So I wanted to prove to him that you can be a musician and lead a very stable life. Mm-hmm. And in 2001, that's when he called me and said, you've proved yourself, and you've proven yourself. So you now have my blessings. That's what he told me.
That took a long time, though.
It took a very long time.
Because you started playing, your first band was in what, 1988?
1988.
So from 1988, you were doing it out of just being stubborn, I should say.
Yeah, because in Zimbabwe, especially for people from my generation and earlier, for you to be a musician, you had to be a rebel. Because there was no way your parents would allow you to play music. Because if you ask a lot of musicians from my generation and going backwards, most of them had their instruments broken down and thrown into the fire by their parents.
Yeah.
So a lot of musicians quit because their parents wouldn't allow them. But I was very stubborn. Because the problem or the advantage, I can't say it's a problem. The advantage with me is when I like something, I'm very principled. You can never
You have to get it.
Yeah. If I want something, even if you beat me up, even if you humiliate me, I won't stop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever at any point, like maybe with your first band, face any challenges that made you rethink your decision, say, maybe I should have listened to my father?
That's a good question, because before I entered in the music industry, I've always liked reading. So I did a research. I didn't even know that it was a research, but I was reading a lot of magazines, watching a lot of interviews, and also speaking to a number of musicians as well. So my favorite musician of all time is Bob Marley, and locally it's Thomas Mofuma and Oliver Mutukudzi. So I read their biographies, and I read biographies of other musicians outside Zimbabwe and in Zimbabwe, and I noticed that time that getting into the music industry was not easy.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I noticed. Then secondly, when I was researching about the Zimbabwe music industry, I also discovered that in Zimbabwe it doesn't pay very well. So I had to make a decision before I entered the music industry whether I still wanted to carry on with a career that I know that it doesn't pay well, that I know that is very despised. Even my first girlfriend, she dumped me because her friends were laughing at her. Oh, you are dating a musician, you are going to die with AIDS. So she dumped me, and I had a heartbreak for a full year, but that's a story for another day.
Heartbreak for a full year?
Yeah, for a full year, but I'm a very proud person. I pretended to be okay. I didn't want to show that I was heartbroken. Yeah, but the good thing is when things started working, she wanted to come back when it was too late. So you know how it feels. You feel very good. Yeah, if somebody who dumped you wants to come back.
That's the complete healing now.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I discovered all that before I entered the music industry. So when I entered the music industry, it was tough. Because I remember we would go for live auditions. We'd move 10 kilometers from my area to the studio for auditions. Because that time there was only one studio. So with my first band, we failed more than 10 auditions. Yeah, and we'd go on foot, and every time you failed, they would chase you out. Out. They were not kind. With my second band, we had 4 to 5 failed auditions, and the band broke up. With the third band, we also had a number of failed auditions, and we finally recorded. I think my first recording was on the 22nd of February, 1992.
You're very good at dates, like you keep dates in your...
Yeah, I write journals.
Yeah.
So if you mess me up, you'll be in my journals.
Really?
So I've been writing journals since I was in Form 2. So my life is well documented from the time I was a teenager up to now.
No, it's actually, sorry to interrupt, it's the first time I was reading somebody's bio and they put the day they were born, not just the date. Like, he was born on a Tuesday. Yes. When I was reading, I was like, who puts a day? I was speaking to
some guys from Ghana, and they were telling me that if you were born on a Tuesday, you are called Kwabena.
What does that mean?
It's a name given to somebody born on a Tuesday.
Okay.
So you can call me Kwabena.
Kwabena, yeah, that's your AKA. Yeah, so you were saying that the first time you recorded eventually?
Was 1992. So I was answering your question concerning challenges. So the first challenge was to record. Then the second challenge, that time there were not enough instruments around, especially electric instruments. We used to practice on borrowed acoustic guitars. And we were told that for you to be able to record, you need to be used to electric instruments. So we would go and beg established musicians to play for free during their break time. And many times we were booed off stage. And I still remember the other time, this guy was right in front of me, speaking Shorty, fire up, man, get away. What type of rubbish is this? So I think even if I meet that guy, I can still remember his face because he was right in front of me. And I thought he was going to beat me up. So we were booed off stage a lot of times. That's why up to now, if people stop me to greet me or if people clap hands after I play, I take it, I don't take it lightly because I've been booed off stage so many times. I was chased away from the studio so many times. So because of those challenges, a lot of the guys that I started with, they gave up. They just say, you know what, I can't take this anymore. But because I'd done my research, I knew what I was going to face. I never gave up. Even when I discovered that there was not much money, I did not give up. I knew if I had another career, I'd be richer. But I said, whether there's money or not, I don't care. This is what I want to do.
Passion.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
That's the definition of passion. I can't imagine being bored off stage, but I've seen a lot of musicians have gone through that at the beginning. When did you finally have a breakthrough and people were now clapping and not having to chase you off the stage?
I think it was around 19... because I learned to play a proper guitar in 1988 on the 22nd of January. That was the first lesson. And then 1989, I remember I played at a certain studio, we were trying to record, and some professional musicians told me, you're a good guitarist. That was the first time I received a comment from a professional musician. So before that, you'll be getting comments from people in the street, so you wouldn't take it seriously because they are not musicians. So the first time I was told that you're a good guitarist was in 1989. And then the first time to be paid meaningful money, I think it was in 2002. And then in 2003, I joined Oliver Mutukudzi. Now I was flying all around the world and getting good money.
How did you get to play? Did you have to audition? How did you find yourself with Oliver Mutukudzi?
I've never auditioned for a band. And I've never asked to be admitted in a band. All the groups that I played for, they to look for me. I hope I don't sound like I'm being proud.
No, it's
What
okay.
happened is Oliver Mutukudzi was planning a tour in 2003, and this guitarist was not feeling well. So he had seen me. I was teaching music at a school called Prince Edward School. So he'd come to play with the kids at Prince Edward School, and I was teaching them how to play Oliver Mutukudzi's music. So he saw me, and he liked how I played, but we never said anything. We were just busy trying to get his music right. And then a friend of mine, Blessing Parutsa, gave Tuku's manager a video cassette where I was playing live. So he wanted her to organize us a recording in South Africa. But after she saw the video, she said, you know what, I want this guy in this band.
Wow.
And then when they were talking to people, telling people we need a guitarist because our guitarist is not feeling well, people were telling them to look for mono. So now Oliver Mutukudzi was looking for the guitarist that he saw at Prince Edward. And then Debbie was looking for the guitarist that she saw on a video cassette. And then they were saying, if we don't find these two guys, we'll look for mono. And all those three people was me.
One person. Wow.
So they called me February 2003 after looking for me for a long time. And that time I was going to a church where the pastor told me that if you play with secular musicians, you get demon possessed. So at first I was not very enthusiastic about joining him. So when I heard that he was looking for me, I never bothered to look for him. But he kept persisting, coming to the College of Music where I was doing a certificate there, and sending people, telling them, please tell Mono to come and see me. And I never went to see him because of the church doctrine where I used to go to. But in, I think, early February, 2003, that's when the manager finally called me and said, please, can you come for rehearsals tomorrow? And the following day I went with my guitar. That's how I joined the
What
band.
changed your mind from what the church was telling you to now saying, okay, you know what, let me go for it?
Yeah, that friend of mine, Blessing Parutsa, was very pivotal in trying to change my mind, because he was saying, you'll be paid well at Oliver Mutukudzi and you'll be able to invest, maybe start your own studio, start something so that you get a good income, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong for a Christian to play for a secular band. So I give the credit to Blessing Parutsa. He's the one who convinced me.
How was the experience with Oliver Mutukudzi? And I'm sure you played in Zambia, because he was like...
Yeah, in Zambia we played
regular.
more than 4 to 5 times, I think.
Yeah.
And it was like playing for the national team. It was up to now, Oliver Mutukudzi has been our biggest export. And even when he died, he was declared the national hero, the first musician to be declared the national hero. And he had the biggest funeral ever. So playing with him around the world was a serious eye-opener. And you know how it is when you are sharing the stage with a lot of big artists, big international artists. There's something that you are imparted with. So I learned a lot, and that was the highlight of my career. And I enjoyed the traveling. I've traveled over 30 countries around the world. So I really enjoyed everything.
Now, the fact that you've been in the industry for that long, you've obviously seen how music has been evolving. What would you say about how the music was then and now? What is it that they're doing better than then, and what it is that you feel like, you know, we could do better today?
Okay. The time that I started, there was only one studio in Zimbabwe, and it was very difficult.
One studio?
Yeah, there was one studio only.
Wow.
And for you to record, you had to audition for that studio. And if you fail the audition, you will never play on radio. But today, we've got a studio almost in every street. So that's a huge change. And but the only difference is that the quality is not as good as during our time. Because during our time we had to go, I mean, you had to go through a lot for you to be able to record. You had to practice very hard to try and impress the producers. But these days people just record anything just because you've got the money. And of course, ever since the music industry in Zimbabwe started in 1930, and since 1930 we've had issues with musicians who don't want to sound Zimbabwean. Yeah, was I think it has been a major drawback. It's one thing that stops our artists from getting the same international recognition that Oliver Mutukudzi got. Was every generation had a foreign genre that they wanted to identify with. So in 1930 it was country music and old school jazz. In 1940 it was big band jazz. In 1950 it was quartets. In 1960 it was Zaire rumba and South African Smaji Maji. In 1970 it was rock and roll. 1980 it was reggae. 1990 it was rumba. 2000 it was in R&B music, which we used to call urban grooves in Zimbabwe. Then around 2015, 2014 it was now dancehall music. And now we've got dancehall and people copying Nigerian Afrobeats and South African Amapiano. So if you look in our history, there's no one who has ever gone international by copying a foreign genre. Because internationally they value authenticity and originality.
What they don't have in their country.
Yeah, because they don't need another Beyonce, they don't need another Burna Boy, they have him already. So it's one mistake that our youngsters do. And they think that it's something new, but it has been happening since 1930 when the music industry started. So it's history repeating itself with every generation, looking for a genre that's trending in another country and trying to copy it. So that's one huge disadvantage.
So do you ever have to struggle in terms of production when you're producing these artists and they come to you and obviously they're looking for this modern sound? they're looking for maybe piano Afrobeats, do they ever come to you, or you've stuck to, if you're producing, you want to produce something that's very authentic to Zimbabwe?
Yeah, I turn them away because I'm not, and it's not that I can't play it.
Yeah.
Because I've been a session musician and I'm a multi-instrumentalist. So there's no genre that's difficult for me. But I just try to avoid those genres because I feel like I'm encouraging people to be fake. So I always tell people, if you're coming to me, make sure we are doing something Zimbabwean. Because we need to push our own sound and that notion of thinking that everything foreign is modern. Because most youngsters, they take the word modern and foreign and make those two words synonymous. But something can be local and modern as well.
Yeah.
But they think that for you to be modern, you have to copy Nigeria, South Africa, or Jamaica. And I've noticed that since 1930, we have never exported a single artist who was copying a foreign sound.
Yeah.
It has always been somebody who was playing a local sound. And even from my first band when I was 17, I just started with the Zimbabwean sound because I've always wanted to sound Zimbabwean. I'm very proud to be Zimbabwean. That's why even after traveling over 30 countries, I've never wanted to stay outside Zimbabwe. I always want to come back.
Nice.
To Zimbabwe.
Now you have a child who is also a musician. Is it a he or she?
It's a he.
What does he do?
He plays the lead guitar just like me as well.
Oh, okay.
And he's now better than me.
He's now better. They always say, but that's a good thing because it means you did a good job. Do you teach him and do you work together sometimes?
We really work together because I'm not in a band and I'm just doing music production, and he's working in bands. He's got a band called In Total, and he also plays for some of the biggest local artists, especially gospel musicians. And so he's very busy, but we rarely work together.
Okay.
On very rare occasions.
When I was looking at what you studied, I was really interested in the bachelor's in music business. Because I think this also takes us back to what you were saying, that you discovered before you even joined the industry that you don't make much. This is a topic that's also very serious in my country. Like, people are like, let's treat music as a business. But you actually went to school for it. How has that helped your career?
It has helped me a lot. Because number one, the degree is called Bachelor of Science in Music Business, Musicology and Technology. So music business, they'll be teaching you about the business side of the music industry. Musicology, they'll be teaching you about the dates and the academic side of music. And then one thing that I really like as a writer is I was also taught writing skills. Because even when I was in my first year, in my second semester, I looked at my first two books and I was shocked at the amount of mistakes that were in the books.
Yeah.
Just after completing one semester.
Yeah.
So I really learned a lot about the business side. Of course, some of the things that I knew them already, but when you sit down on a desk to concentrate on a subject, your mind is opened more. And I did not do it for the sake of looking for a job. I just do it for the sake of improving myself as a musician.
That is amazing, and I have to applaud you for that. How many people do? How common is it for people to actually go and study this here?
It's starting to, because I've been encouraging people a lot to do that, because there's a belief in Zimbabwe that if you go to a music college, your talent will be diluted. And there are some serious myths and the people believe them. So I've tried a lot to encourage other artists to do the same, and a number of them are heeding the call. So we now have a number of musicians going back to school right now.
Nice. You're an author. Tell me about the books that you wrote.
Okay, the first book that I wrote I released it in, 2017, 2016. It was called Poor and Famous. What was happening is people were asking me questions on Facebook about the music industry. How come artists don't make much money in Zimbabwe? How does this work? What's the difference between lead guitar and rhythm guitar? So I was answering those questions. And then a friend of mine is called Blessing Vava is now a doctor. He completed his doctorate. He's the one who told me, those replies that you are replying people, can't you turn them into a book? So that was my first book. It's called Poor and Famous. And it's called Poor and Famous because in Zimbabwe, it's very rare for someone to become rich and famous with music.
Yeah.
So that was one of the major questions that I addressed in the book. That's why it's called Poor and Famous. Then in 2020, I turned 50. And then, I think I skipped one book. No, the first book was Following the Melody, sorry.
Okay.
It's a biography, autobiography. And I think I'm the first musician to write his own autobiography in Zimbabwe.
I like that. You're telling your own story.
Yeah, telling my own story from my own perspective. So I wrote down all the mistakes that I made in the music industry so that I tell people this is what I did. You don't have to do it anymore because I made the mistake already, so you can learn from my mistakes. So I was busy writing down the mistakes. And this year, on Friday, the 13th of September next month, I'm launching a second edition of the book, an updated second edition. Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2017, that's when I released Poor and Famous. And then 2020, when I turned 50, I decided to write something different.
Okay.
So I wrote a book called Men Vacuum. And it's a book I wrote for the boy child because I see that today or these days everybody's concentrating on the girl child.
Yeah.
And according to statistics around the world, the boy children are now lacking even in schoolwork. Yeah, and because of a lot of divorces, a lot of boys are now growing up without father figures.
Yeah.
And statistically around the world, the countries with the biggest drug dealers, with a lot of crime and so forth, are countries like South Africa, USA, Jamaica, Brazil, and it's usually children that come from fatherless homes. So that's what I was trying to highlight in the book.
I like that.
So those are the 3 books that I've written.
Nice. Where can people get it? Like if they want to read it, are they available maybe even online?
Yeah, online, you can get them online as well. But they can be, they are online on, I forgot the name of the book website where they sell, is it Kindle? I think it's Kindle.
Okay, yeah, Kindle sells.
Then I also sell them on social media, like on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I sell PDF versions. But on my launch, on the book launch in September, I'll be selling hard copies as well. And then after that, it will be available online as well as those soft copies that I'll be selling as well.
Nice. You've won a couple of awards, eh? I'm looking at some of them. Which one is your favorite?
I think the Zima, what is it called? It's called, this Arts Personality of the Year, which I won this year in February. I was not around, I was in Jamaica, but a friend of mine, Albert Nyati, got it for me. Dereck was supposed to go, but I don't know what happened. And then,
we'll find out.
And then last year, was it 2022? What's the Zima one? I'm forgetting.
Let me see it.
It's lifetime achievement. It's usually given to dead musicians. But I'm happy that I was given when I was still alive.
No, and you know what? It used to happen. I was born in my country a lot where you want to honor somebody when they're dead with such. It can happen maybe, unfortunately, but when honoring somebody with this lifetime when they're alive, I think is the best because they get to see people appreciate them while they're there.
You smell the flowers on your own when you're still alive.
This is nice. It's heavy. Zimbabwe Music Awards. I like. Now I was looking at before because I want to see you jam some of that guitar since I can't sing, so I won't be able to ask you to record me. But I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, oh, they mean something. Just tell us about the biggest picture here.
Okay, that one is my first band. It was called Sarungano Chanters. That's 1988.
Nice.
Obviously, you were not yet born.
Yeah. They didn't even know I was going to exist.
Yeah.
Then the second one with Oliver Mutukudzi, where was that?
That was in USA in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing a guitar solo.
Okay, I like. And this guitar, I like it. Custom made?
Yeah, it was made by a company called Geomega in Germany. The guy was coming to Zimbabwe and he called me and said, what shape do you want? I can give you a guitar for free. So I told him I want the map of Africa. So he made it for me.
Nice. What do you think, I know our friends in Nigeria are doing very well outside Africa. What do you think countries, especially in the southern parts, I think it's only South Africa that's kind of also pushing. What do you think we need to do? They need to do as musicians, you guys. What do you think they need to do to be able to penetrate the West African community as well as outside Africa?
They just need to be proud of who they are. Because if you look at South Africa and Nigeria, they are very proud of who they are.
Yeah.
They are not ashamed of their music. They are not ashamed of their broken English. They are, what they call it, do they call it pidgin English? They are proud of it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing lacking in most Southern African countries, especially your country and ours.
Yeah, I think yours is better than ours.
I don't know. Yeah. But we've got that problem where everybody wants to sound American and South African. They do their best to run away from who they are. So I was encouraging youngsters the other time that the energy that you put in trying to copy Nigerians and trying to copy South Africans or Jamaicans, if you put it in our own music, we end up with even our own digital genre that can be identified with Zimbabwe. Because if you look at countries that are making it international, they have an organic genre, the one where you play live instruments, and they've got a digital genre. For example, in Jamaica, they've got roots reggae music, that Bob Marley type is still alive and well, and they also have dancehall. In Nigeria, they've got Afro beat without an S, and then Afro, which is organic, which they play live. Like Fela Kuti music. Then they've got Afro beats with an S, which is the digital version. In South Africa, they've got Afro jazz Mbakanga on the organic side, and they've got Amapiano on the digital side. But in Zimbabwe, the organic sound, we have it. That Mbira and some Bube from a part called Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. But the digital side, we are just busy copying. And none of them is going international. When they get into planes and fly out of Zimbabwe, they'll be playing for Zimbabweans in the diaspora. Oh, yeah. And that's not international. Yeah. Because we are just like playing to a home crowd. Yeah. So our biggest problem is, for people like us in the southern part of Africa, is we are not proud of who we are. We are always trying to copy somebody. And the world will never respect you for that. Because they will never invite you to come and sound like Wizkid. They have him already. Yeah. They are looking for a new sound.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And I hope even the people in my country can watch it. This episode, I think it's got a lot of...
Your country's breakthrough lies in Kalindula music.
Yeah.
That's where your breakthrough is.
Yeah, I think one of the...
supposed to come from.
Yeah, Sakala Brothers, one of the bands that's played around the world for big audiences. They're stuck to the roots, like this kind of music.
And you can even modernize it. And by modernizing, I don't mean you have to put an 808 or put a lot of auto-tune and try to make it sound like American. You can, if you listen to Oliver Mutukudzi's early music and the music that he was playing by the time he passed away, you could tell that the music evolved, but it evolved within itself. It did not have to copy another country's music, and that's why he was the biggest international artist from Zimbabwe. Yeah. Because if you look at all our international artists, they all sound Zimbabwean. They were not ashamed to be Zimbabwean. Yeah. But all these other kids, they are busy trying to look American, sound American, speaking fake patois. And I was telling them when I came from Jamaica in February that the patois that you think you are speaking, it's not even patois. It's Jamaicans trying to sound English so that you understand. When they speak real patois, you won't even hear a single word. But they think I'll be mocking them, but I'll be telling them the truth. Because if you really want to make a breakthrough internationally, and even locally, it's best for you to sound Zimbabwean. But we've got another huge disadvantage as well, because some of our radio stations are busy pushing those fake genres. So the kids are now confused. They don't know what to do, because if they play authentic Zimbabwean music, they don't get airplay on some of the radio stations. But they just want those who are copying Nigerians, Jamaicans, and South Africans. So the kids are now confused with what do we do. If we play local music, we don't get airplay. And if they play that fake genres that they are trying to copy, they can't go international. They are not invited at international festivals.
So there's supposed to be some...
So there's a serious confusion. I think we need government intervention to deal with such things so that there's a balance.
Yeah, the balance is very important. Well, you know what? You have, I can chat with you the whole day. There's so much that I still need to ask, but time is not with us because I want to see you guys play with Dereck. So we'll go into that session just now. We're not saying bye yet.
Samarasha yekuwange isikana changu Zimbabwe gandara kochukuchuku segoride kukadoma isikana changu Zimbabwe mwili wako wakaumbwa sama komo kwa mutali chisikana changu